It's time for Gardening Inside Out, a live show offering you plant advice for any space in your life. Introducing your perennial hosts, David Bates and Josh Carey.
Hey, welcome in everybody. It's Saturday morning. It's time for Gardening Inside Out, coming to you from the Green Room Studios here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. It's going to be a great day today because we're going to be off tomorrow. I'm going to be off on Monday. Oh man, what a day.
Yeah, it's all things considered for a wintertime day and a wintertime week ahead. It really doesn't look bad. We've got some clouds hanging in today for the beginning of the day, but that soon will pass. We will be getting to the we'll be getting to the sunshine part later in the afternoon. So hopefully all of those things will materialize, and for whatever reason my countdown timer will not go away. So while I'm working through that, give me just a second here. We'll I've brought it back up again. So
But no, it's
anyway, we will be looking at the weather here and talking about the fact that it's going to be a pretty mild and moderate kind of a week. Mostly sunny throughout the week time conditions and seasonably moderate.
cold.
45 degrees for the high today. It's currently 38, by the way, here at the Bates Nursery weather station. Tomorrow is going to be a bit warmer and more sun, 55, 29 for the overnight low. Monday, cool down a bit, 43, 26, 47, 29 Tuesday. Few clouds roll back in on Wednesday, 48, 28, 43, 25 on Thursday. So probably our coolest overnight low for the week ahead. Get back into Friday, 48, 32. And of course, right on cue, the forecast has been very reliable throughout the fall, early winter season. We've seemed to have at least be forecasted for showers. This obviously gives a chance of flurries. That's going to kind of be the case throughout 45, 32 next Saturday. So again, currently it's 38 degrees here, overcast conditions, but all things considered, pretty nice wintertime weather. And by the way, Josh,
What's that,
Happy
David?
New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, sir.
And Happy New Year's to Caroline and Austin and Tyler. Good morning and Happy New Year's to all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Happy New Year.
It's that time. New Year.
It is that time. So we're going to get right, into the, not right into it, but we'll at least want you to understand that, this is Gardening Inside Out. And we're here to talk about everything horticulturally related and particularly as they connect to the year-end thought process. So we're talking the year-end here, Josh. It's the New Year's Eve. I guess everyone has big New Year's Eve plans. What about you, Josh?
I'm gonna start my mushroom in a box kit that I got from Santa Claus last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
you talk about ringing it in correctly.
Boy, what are you talking about?
You hold back now, guy. You're talking crazy talk now.
Oyster mushrooms on New Year's Eve? Hey, man, what are you going to do? But that was cool.
Should be nice.
That was a neat little gardening gift that I got.
That's a great
Well,
gift.
I mean, it's a great gift. I just thought maybe you might be doing something that had a little more pizzazz to it. Just saying.
He's starting mushrooms in a box.
That's so much pizzazz.
That's pizzazz. So what do they send you a bag of spores or
No,
something?
it was a box about that big, and you take the tab off the front, you soak it for 24 hours, you set it to the side, and 10 days later, I can harvest oyster mushrooms.
10 days?
10 days later is what it says.
All right, you need to document
So what are the
this.
You do need
what
to
are the
document
temperature
this.
ranges you need to keep that in, Josh? What does it tell you there?
It didn't tell me because I didn't read all that far down on the label.
You're waiting for tomorrow,
say-
for New
I'm
Year's
waiting
Eve to
for
do it.
tomorrow to do it. But
I would say damp conditions, I would think. Like damp, moist, kind of darkish.
on top, okay, I got a spot for that. I can put it in on the hutch up there.
That would be
Yeah,
my
but
guess.
I'm thinking temperature has more to do with it than anything else.
You think it needs to be a little warmer than what it might be in the
It does not need to be hot, but you need to have controlled temperature conditions. I'm speculating here, but mushrooms don't require high temperatures, but they don't want to. They're not going to germinate well if it's really cool, or it's going to way slow it down. So
Yeah, wasn't planning on putting them in the wee shed or down in the basement. I think I'm going to watch this. I think it's going to be fascinating.
It's going to be fun.
Got to keep it away from the cats.
Yeah,
but
we'll keep everybody updated. Josh, make sure you get photos.
I will.
So Caroline and Austin, now that's a tough one to follow up with right there. That's so stimulating and exciting. What about you guys for New Year's Eve? You have anything that you could even hold a candle to that as far as?
Not really, no.
We're having a get together tonight. It's more of a late Christmas, friends, New Year's type of thing. So that's happening tonight at my house. It's going to be chaos. A lot of people, a lot of kids. All of my friends now have kids, so it's just constant kids. And they're all girls, too. All my friends have girls.
Wow.
Really?
A lot of ladies.
That's wild.
Yep,
That's
it is.
fun.
3 of mine. My other friend has 3. My other one has 2. And then the other one has 1. So there's 9 little girls in my little house tonight.
That sounds
That's
great.
a lot of shrieking.
Bless you, son. Go
It's going to
forth.
be wild. It'll be fun, though.
Well, and of course, Josh is the father of 2 girls.
Yes,
so,
I am.
It is a kind of a theme. I only have 1 daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a son.
Yes.
So, I'm the aberration in the group here, apparently. So anyway, Caroline, if you have big plans or small plans or any plans?
I'll be downtown, so that's pretty big.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it's big. That's bigger than anything we've got downtown in Nashville on New Year's Eve. Like I heard the other day, we're like top 3 in the country. I think of New Year's Eve parties.
Yeah, it's going to be a
Absolutely.
wild time. Hopefully, it doesn't get too wild. Yeah.
So what time are you planning on traveling down there to kind of be prepared for all of the frivolity that's going on?
I have to be in at 9.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
At
better
night.
get
That's just to make sure
Night,
you get in and
yes,
get
you have to
work.
be there for the midnight, festivities. So
You
9
better
o'clock.
go a little
Good luck
earlier
otherwise
than
you're-
that.
Yeah.
You better go what?
Otherwise, you
I
might
would
be
go a little
parking-
earlier than that. Yes.
Nah,
You might be
there's
parking
valet.
a couple of miles outside of the downtown area.
Yeah, you better start at
otherwise.
6.
I will be valeting my car, and it will be free.
Well, cool. That'll
So
be fun.
yeah, downtown will be great. Tyler, what about you?
All right, well, hopefully everyone can have a safe and enjoyable holiday
Absolutely.
season and enjoy the fireworks and all those festivities. So it is should be a lot of fun no matter where you are, whether you're here in Nashville or elsewhere around the country. If you've got any comments about that, we'd love to hear that. And also about whatever's going on in your garden, because that's really what we're all about here on Gardening Inside Out. So
Yes.
Hey, we did miss one
What do we
person
got
in the
next?
room. Tyler, what are you doing for New Year's?
He's hiding behind the Tyler.
he's off camera.
Tyler
for
Cam.
now.
Tyler Cam.
Good
Tyler
morning.
Cam.
We
You're
know
so
he's going to be
clean,
the
Tyler.
wildest of all.
It does look so clean.
I actually don't have many plans, but I might be ripping out the second holly bush. I've already ripped out my first holly. Stumps about that wide, that
Ooh.
like thick in diameter.
Oh, fun.
I used a sawzall saw to basically go around the entire root ball, and then I have a 8-foot pry bar that I like dig out some dirt, and then a digging hoe or axe or whatever. So that's what I'll be doing likely.
Well,
You're doing that at
hopefully
Trying to
midnight?
we're
redo my
gonna-
porch.
Yeah, hopefully you're going to set up and do a time lapse so you can share that with us next week.
That's a good idea, David. I think I may
Okay,
do
well.
just that.
Now that blade is going to
Okay.
be really good for you to use on another project. Now, you know that, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Uh huh.
What do you have in mind, Josh? For me?
Did you cut like cutting cake or something with it? I mean, that's about the only thing that's going to be working. So be careful with your sawzall.
That's about my slice too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well let's roll on into
Okay.
it here, guys, and see what is out there in the gardening world.
All right, we got a question about wisteria that we're going to start with this morning. It says, hello. Hi, good morning.
Hello.
My son and daughter-in-law purchased 2 amethyst fall American wisteria plants from Bates Nursery for me for Christmas. My question is, while I know where we're going to plant it, I won't be able to until spring. How do I care for them and keep them healthy and living until I can plant them in their designated spots?
Well,
That's a great gift.
that is a great gift. Plants are awesome gifts. Nobody
the
thinks about
best.
it all that much, but they really are. And that's a nice gift because what a beautiful flowering plant. I mean, my God.
My absolute favorite.
I mean, wisteria, when it's in bloom, there's almost nothing better.
I don't have any.
Nothing
I don't either.
smells
Well,
better
it takes
than-
a specific spot. We all
Yes.
know this. Wisteria can be vigorous, to say the least. So it can take over something and just wreck it. So you got to make sure, since you sounded like you know where you're going to plant it, make sure it's a good sturdy, trellis system. And then to keep it going till spring, you really don't have to do too much except for just, keep it somewhat moist, but not just soaked.
Right.
Don't keep it bone dry, and just let it be until spring. It's going to crack leaves in the spring, and then you can plant it in the spot, and it's going to be good.
You planted wisteria a couple of years ago, didn't you? Oh, you don't want to talk about it.
No.
No.
Well, yeah, perhaps I missed the little detail, but what is the reason why they're not going to be able to plant this spring?
I kind of thought the same thing. Yeah, I mean, if you know where you're going to plant it, if you could plant it, then just go ahead and do it.
They're
Go
having a
for it.
pergola built where that's going to go.
Gotcha.
Yes, so they have to wait to plant it.
Let's advise upgrade the framing members of your pergola. Go ahead and do it now. Okay, trust me about this. Wisteria is among my favorites, and it smells so good after about 6 or 7 years when the blooms finally show up.
It does take a minute for them to bloom.
But they can put some major weight on a structure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we had ours. We had a carport type structure at our home, and it had a wrought iron type of support on it with a gutter pipe, a down pipe that came down it. It destroyed it.
Yeah.
Literally crushed
took
them.
it down?
Crushed it. No,
It's
just
not a
crushed-
joke.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's kind of like, to me, I think about it as like their vines are
Yes.
like so woody. It almost reminds me of like a root system, except for above the earth. So like
Right.
below the earth, a root system can just grab onto anything and just choke it. And that's kind of like what it does, except on top of the earth with its stems. It just wraps around whatever and just swallows it.
It's worth it, but I mean, you just be aware of what's going on with it. So I mean, anything that's going to be able it will crush, it can crush. So it's nice stuff. But
It's gorgeous.
when those blossoms and those grape-like, there's just nothing like
There's
it.
nothing like it.
Bees go crazy over them. So
It's a good plant.
So you don't have yours anymore.
Well, I have to say, with my wisteria, and it's probably because I planted it on the north side of a fence, that I haven't seen quite the growth that you guys have been talking about.
they love sun.
They do love sun,
Yeah.
and they've gotten to the top of my. I like planted them and ran them up a chain link, an old chain link fence rail, but they've gotten last year they got killed back a little bit with the freeze. But they're relatively about the same size. I mean, they stretch probably, I don't know, 3 to 5 feet in either direction that I ran them up the pole. So.
Yeah.
It'll run this year.
Yeah, this year it'll go. It seems like it does do that. Like it takes a couple seasons for them to kind of get going. And also, too, something you need to know about wisteria. If you have excess nitrogen in your soil, they won't bloom very well. So that's a very common problem. So don't really fertilize high nitrogen for wisteria
Like
in the spring.
acidic soil type. They're like
They
an acidic
become
soil too.
excessively vegetative.
Yes, they do. They just throw
growing
leaves.
Machine.
And they don't throw bloom. So just know that.
They take over. My parents had one at the house they bought, and they didn't know what this crazy vine was that was in 4 different trees and taking over until 3 years in it bloomed. But I mean, it was all the way up in the top of some really mature trees.
Yeah, in eastern North Carolina, when they all get going, because it took over years and years ago. I mean, it can get away from it, and it can be very invasive, but it's worth it. Gosh, they smell so good.
They're so pretty.
That's good.
Okay, let's talk about something else that's pretty.
Okay.
Camellias. All right, camellia died in the freeze last year. That happened to me too. So I cut it down to almost flush to the ground, about 2-inch diameter stump, and then it flushed out from one side of the stump. Do I need to do anything to cut the stump to prevent rot or damage to the new growth down the line?
No, I don't really think you need to do anything. I've got the kind of a similar scenario. I've got 3, and 2 out of the 3 of mine came back from all the stems, and they're big and nice and how they should be. But one did not come back except for from the stump, like you're talking about. And I've got this little bitty, or I got a fat stump, and then this little bitty twig that sits above that with 5 leaves on it. And that's all I've got.
That's what I have with all of mine that survived.
And that happened to a lot of people, unfortunately. But I don't really think there's anything you ought to do. That's going to swell. It's going to get bigger this spring. As long as everything goes well with the weather, it's going to have a flush of growth. Typically, when things do that and they have to die back from the ground, you see an explosion of growth typically in the early spring. So I don't really think there's anything you ought to do at the moment. I mean, it is what it is. It's just part of it. I don't think it's going to rot.
No, mine doesn't look like it. That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah, the one thing for sure is that, once you have gotten beyond the mid part of the spring season, maybe say mid-April, and you haven't seen any substantial growth coming up out of it, that's going to be a pretty good cue as to which way you should be thinking that your future is going to be with that particular plant. It may be that it comes out and does really well and you get a lot more breaks. It may also be that really just doesn't do a whole lot and you run out of patience and you want to do something different. So either way will work. It's just a question of how well it recovers. And last year was tough on a lot of things, and so much so that there's still a great number of things to still deal with respect to dead and dying and recovering plants.
You know what I think, though, too, with camellia is that potentially, like I'm thinking with mine anyway, it's got literally one stem, okay? All that's come back is one single stem that came up. And like I said, it's about 5 leaves, 5 rungs up, if you will, of leaves. What I'm thinking I might do, so that doesn't just keep going up as a single stem and just becoming one long single stem, I might tip it. So I might go in there and prune the very tip of it. And then whenever you do that, you'll see leaves break lower and you'll see more stems, and maybe it'll get to be more of that bushy habit quicker than if I were to leave that single stem and just have one, single stem that's just a
stocky
looking thing. Yeah, I want it to get back bushy, so that might be helpful.
I gotta hope there's going to be some additional basal breaks that are coming out from the ground.
I would hope so. Yeah,
I had a lot that came back. Well, probably like 4 from each plant.
From the
ground.
It's either that or
it's
a great opportunity to have a patio tree form.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds glorious.
What?
A patio tree form camellia.
Yeah, I love that.
Do it, Kev. Let it get taller. I mean, Austin.
She said it.
Oh, I did. I love camellias so much. I was so disappointed when mine died back, but
it's amazing
like
how
everyone's,
many.
They're coming back.
Yeah, I mean they are. It's so funny.
Slowly but surely. Except for my Yuletide. That one bit the dust, and I finally dug it up a couple months ago.
Yule died.
Yes, Tyler. There he is.
Oh, Yule died.
He's here all day.
Yeah,
He is
tip
here
your
all
waiters
day.
and
Well, till
waitresses, yeah.
Okay, so we have a question pertaining to a question that we answered last week. We had a question about cutting back succulent. So somebody asked about how their succulent was getting leggy, and annoying was the word they used, and what could they do about it. So we walked them through how you can cut it back. You can take that top cutting, stick it in the dirt, it will root, and then it'll reflesh from, the base of the plant, like the mother part. So someone's asking if they can do that with snake plant. You can. It's not going to have the same results, but you can definitely cut it back. So what I've done with some here in the garden center, if they get a little sickly or sad, the way I treat them, and I know Austin did this to one of his recently. If yours is getting too tall or if it doesn't look good, you can cut those leaves back pretty much all the way to the dirt.
You need to.
You need to.
To the dirt.
And then it will reflesh. Now, you can also prop them by taking a top cutting of a leaf that looks healthy. And then with that, you'll want to cut the bottom at an angle, whether it's like a little triangle or just one single angle, and stick it in water. They take a little while to root, but they will take off eventually. And the reason why you want to cut that angle is so it's not just sitting on the bottom of that vase or jar that you have it growing out of. So yes, this
now, when
is
you
something.
say prop them,
Propagate
explain to
them.
everyone what that means.
So like we talked about with the succulent, when you take that top cutting and stick it in the soil, that's your prop right there. That's going to start growing a new plant. Propagate.
The word prop means propagate. Yes.
Propagating. Yes, so you
a
can
lot of people
do
might not realize that.
the same thing with the snake plant. So propagating is basically taking a part of one plant to make a whole new plant. So snake plants are going to take a little bit longer, and they need water instead of soil. I mean, you could do it in soil, but they're going to do a little bit better in water.
Hey, gonna make snakes.
I've got that right now. Earlier in the show this year, I told y'all my 5-year-old Marley cut back my snake plant, and we stuck it in all of the
On purpose,
the
though,
leaves.
didn't you have her do it?
I had her
She didn't
do it.
just
Yeah,
take
she loved it.
scissors
She
and go
was
to
in heaven.
town.
She loves to just wreck stuff, and it was great. So she went in there and
You're
just
gonna have
hacked
9
it.
of them at your house
Yeah,
tonight.
I know.
Yeah, okay.
And but we took all of those cuttings, and I just wanted to put it pretty in a vase, just for a tabletop vase, and I put all those in. And this was, I don't know, what did I tell you? Probably about a month ago. I checked them. Every single one of them had roots on them.
Oh, yeah. They take a while.
They take a
but
while,
they will.
but they did root.
And they do better in a dark spot when they're rooting than sticking them on a window.
Yeah, see, I didn't have mine was just literally I think it was just on a side table or something, just as decoration.
Yeah.
But yeah, I looked at them the other day. They got these crisp orange roots on them, and they're ready to go. They look really good.
Oh, yeah. They will take off. I have a friend that has them all over her house, just in vases and jars everywhere.
Well, they look good. It's just an arrangement, just like an upright green, almost variegated looking plant, that's just in a very upright. Mine's in a very tall, like kind of round container, and like I said, they look great and they rooted. I mean, I could bring all those in and stick them all in the same pot, and they'd be great.
And everyone could have a snake plant. From
Yeah.
Austin's house. Mm-hmm. How's the one looking that you cut back?
Yeah, David, back in the 70s, everybody had a spider plant. You remember those?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Love spider
everybody
plants.
But
had
the
spider
snake
plants.
plants were, the sansevieria has been around for a long time. And part of the reason that the plants continue and grow from year to year is they're being planted correctly and being given something to grow in that's really viable. It really helps them to not just extend their life, but to be viable and highly productive. And that's what Earth Mix Garden Products is all about. And when you use Earth Mix Garden Products, you not only get something that gives your plants all the best needs, all the best things that Mother Nature provides, it does so without chemical additives. There's no additional fertilizers or anything like that added. It's all naturally fertile. The only thing added to any Earth Mix Garden Products is endo and ectomycorrhiza fungi and humic acid, which are naturally occurring in nature. Earth Mix Garden Products have it added to give you an additional boost so that the plants can really take advantage of the nutrition that is inherently in the soil. And believe you me, it is inherently there when you're using things such as worm castings and composted chicken litter and all the various products that are used as inputs in the various Earth Mix blends. What you get is a really excellent you get a plant that really performs excellently and gives you the very best of all the things that particular plant's capable of. And it doesn't matter if we're talking indoors or outdoors, it will give you great results. Now, if you're looking for where you can find Earth Mix Garden Products, it's all over Middle Tennessee, also through Kentucky, even in northern Alabama. Everywhere you see these little pins here, you can zoom in close. For in the metro area, there's actually a whole bunch that are hidden within there. You see them all popping up. You can go in there, zoom in, or you can put your address in right in this area here for turn-by-turn directions for the location nearest you, so you can find out what they have on hand regarding Earth Mix Garden Products. So just for this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products. And what is it you like to say, Joe?
It's the best inputs to get the best output.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. And we appreciate you giving us a moment to speak about that and help take the work out of gardening and increase your success. That's what it's all about.
Hey, we've got some interaction going on the Bates Facebook page. Thanks for watching. Jack Lynn, Happy New Year's Eve, y'all. Happy New Year's to you. William responding to your oyster mushrooms, Josh.
Oh, yeah.
A real fungus time.
I'm a fun guy. What can I tell you?
Yada, yada, yada.
You are a
And
fun guy.
Mary has a question. I've had some aphids pop up on my newly propagated coleus. I spray with neem oil. Do you think I could water with a systemic?
You certainly could, but you probably don't necessarily need to with aphids. Aphids are probably the easiest insect to deal with. Now, finding the, a lot of times people misread what the aphid actually is. A lot of times people think it's that white shell that's still on the plant. That's what they come out of. They more or less molt out of that shell. So that'll be left behind, and a lot of people think those are the actual insects. Well, they're not. The actual insects are either typically green or even red, and they'll be, for the most part, on the back sides of the leaves or in the crevices
Sometimes
of
black.
whatever, sometimes black.
Yep.
There's like 1,000 different species of aphid, but for the most part around here, like I said, a lot of times green or red, even black, and popping them, literally just wiping them off is honestly your best method to get rid of aphids without having to use any sprays.
Yeah, they're easy to get rid of.
They are.
That's my favorite pest out of all of the
Yeah, if we had to pick a
terrible
favorite.
pests, it would be aphids.
And lady beetles really help a lot. If you have ladybugs available to you, that's a great natural predator, and they'll just completely wipe them out. I mean, they can clean a large plant in a matter of hours. So it really is amazing how many they can eat and how quickly they can eat them.
They're hungry little bugs
Oh, they
and
are.
really, really cute.
And speaking of propagating coleus, that's an easy one and fun one to do, y'all. So just tipping a coleus, if you have an old one that you had or whatever, you want to say you planted one in the ground and it got big and beautiful and you loved it. Before frost comes around, just take a few cuttings of that, stick it in a water bottle or literally just water, and it's going to root like literally within a week or two. I mean, they're so fast to root. Easiest plant to grow. And just a little fun fact, just so y'all know, whenever you take a cutting from a plant, that cutting is the exact DNA of the mother plant. It is a clone, 100%. So it's the exact same genetics in the plant, and you'll get the exact same results whenever you take cuttings. So that's how we can keep, varieties and cultivars of all these plants that we know and have. We can keep those true to type because we take those cuttings, and it's an exact clone of the mother.
Plant science. It's so cool. So
It
cool.
really is.
Michelle back in our greenhouse. She's one of our annual workers here. Love her. Michelle. She says she takes cuttings of all of her coleus and just has a whole wall of it. She's like, my husband thinks I'm insane, but I don't have to buy it anymore. And then she does buy a cart full of more.
Oh, she definitely
in the
will.
spring, but
Now I've
she
got a
props them
question
like
for you,
crazy.
Austin. What is the difference between coleus and Perilla magilla?
Perilla magilla.
That's a fun name.
They look very similar. Perilla magilla has a square stem on it. But, at first glance, they look just like a coleus. So that's just a random question off the top of my head.
My
but I
head
don't know
went
why
to
that came
Magilla
in.
Gorilla. Sorry.
It was an icicle. I think it was a popsicle type thing, wasn't it? Back in the day,
I don't know.
It sounds that
know.
way.
vanilla gorilla, Magilla Gorilla.
I don't
That
know
was
who
a
that
cartoon.
is.
That was a cartoon. Yeah.
Oh,
He was
Before my
purple
time.
too,
Old
though.
one.
I think.
I
yeah.
missed it.
Don't let me derail. Keep going.
Okay.
Well, there
good.
is a number of plants that have square stems, which is always kind of cool.
Yeah,
they don't,
square
they don't
stems are
roll in
crazy.
your fingers. They they're square. So,
Cool.
And coleus is one of those. A lot of mint plants. I think it's mainly the mint family.
Yeah, they have very angular stems that are sharp.
Or
of them
plant
like
cells,
Tranthus.
aren't plant cells generally square?
Yeah, that one does.
What?
Aren't plant cells generally square as opposed to round?
Rectangle. Yeah,
Rectangular,
there's cell
yeah.
walls. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit different than us. Let's not get too deep.
Okay.
Yeah, Austin was about to go off.
Nope.
No, no, we don't get
No
that
more plant
today.
science.
Oh man.
I'll have to get my textbook out.
Maybe next week we'll get some plant science with Austin. Let's get another question in. We have a question about earth mix. What earth mix is best for bare root rows that I will be planting in a container?
Okay.
Good question.
I plant my rows that I have in a container from last year in landscape.
That would be what I would use.
It's such a good mix. It's my favorite container. It's probably my favorite mix that we make in general. But it's got good drainage, but also holds a little bit of water. It's got a ton of nutrients in it, which roses definitely need. It's my favorite. It's on sale right now. 33% off landscape. I mean, it's
Buy so much.
Today
of it.
only.
Today.
It's a
Till
good
2, right?
mix that we make.
Yeah, I love
And we-
landscape. I use it in everything.
And we will be talking about all that coming up here just in a few minutes. But that is a good point. This is our little sale that's coming up. Well, we're in the middle of it right now. Today is the last day of it, so we'll talk about that. But landscape is sold as a premium soil conditioner, but due to the large amount of organic material that's inherent in it, as it turns out, it is a great soilless container mix.
Yep.
So if you're wanting to grow roses or anything else for that matter in a container and you want it to be soilless, there are properties of the actual soil profile that are excessively moisture retentive. using landscape will allow it to drain better, say, than the product Proganics O, which is a little bit heavier because it does contain some natural soil in it.
Now that bare rooted rose she's got is probably a graft anyway too, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely still roses sold that are on their own root.
Right.
Which is nice because they've got good hardiness. They don't have to be grafted, but for the most part, almost all your cool roses anyway. All the really flowery ones.
The Dolly Partons and the
the Marilyn Monroes and the JFKs that are flirting across the garden. Yeah, all of those that are cool. Great mix. Funny enough, my rose right now, it's a Chihuly rose. It's a multicolored rose. Chihuly is the name of it. It's a multicolored rose that's beautiful. It still has leaves on it right now. It hasn't even shed one of its leaves, but the leaves are like maroonish or burgundy-ish, if you will. So that's kind of weird, but it's still up, still doing well. I love that rose.
I know you do. You just love roses.
I do. They annoy me.
You do.
It's a love-hate.
Yeah.
It's definitely a love-hate. If
Y'all
you're in Middle Tennessee, you know what I'm talking about.
That's true. Y'all should come out to the nursery when we get our big rose shipment in the spring. We should just live stream it so you guys can
we
see
should. Yeah, I'm gonna do
Austin's
that this
reaction.
year.
Let's put a little camera right in front of his face so you can see when that truck pulls in. And then as those roses start to get unloaded from that truck. I mean, it's amazing. It's exciting for everyone. But for Austin,
it's a big day.
We could just get a GoPro to put it on top of his head so we can see his every movement.
And I will show you every rose, the amount of the petal count, the color, the fragrance, all of it. And I'll be right there with Pedro.
Probably
Pedro do the roses.
some
Pedro
sassy
loves Rose
remarks
Day, too.
along the way too.
What?
Some sassy remarks along the way
Maybe.
too.
a little bit of sass, yeah.
Well, I always come home bloody that day because the roses will get you. Okay? Whenever you're unloading like 1,000, you're going to get a thorn.
They
or
bite.
two. They do. And when they really hit you, they hit you. And it sticks with you. It's like they give you a little stick of poison. Little rose
It'll make
poison.
you say,
They're making you remember.
Shucks.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks. But it is an exciting day. It's gorgeous once they get set out on a lot. It's a sea of blooms and
Fragrance. It's incredible.
And
We'll be here
Austin's
before you
usually
know it.
standing in the middle of it, just taking it all in.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so we have a question about watering trees, which we get a lot, but it's a great question. I mean, there's so much to know about watering. We talk about it all the time here at the nursery, how that's probably one of the hardest things to actually figure out, whether it's indoor or outdoor.
Definitely.
Should I be watering my trees planted in mid-October once the temperatures drop to the 20s and 30s?
No. To me, no. I mean, I don't care what you really planted in October, especially a deciduous. If it's deciduous and it's lost its leaves, definitely no.
Yeah.
And we're getting into that point where we get pretty wet. Typically, David, isn't our wettest month usually around February or so, roughly? I feel like.
Well, it's coming up on, but the one thing that is important for people to keep in mind is that if there are, the exception to that would be something that's newly planted, and there's no reason to not plant this time of year. So if you're going to plant a tree right now, it's really important to be mindful of watering it thoroughly. That initial watering is very
the first
important.
one, yeah. But this one was back
And that settles all the pockets of air out of it and gets it all good for the winter. But if you planted it, just like Austin said, if you planted it in October and you did all that, it's almost, unless we had a severe drought conditions, and we're not seeing that right now.
No,
it shouldn't
it's
be.
It's actually been moist.
It's been pretty good.
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's
then
been
you start
pretty good.
getting foliage coming up and pushing out there. Do you have to really be concerned about it? Because that's when the uptake of water begins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, typically if you're planting a tree or any shrubs really in October, you're going to not do much through the whole wintertime. But then come next summertime, just keep an eye out. Mm-hmm. It gets to be August and we go a month without rain or something like that. Then that's the time to you're probably going to have to water.
The cycle. I'm putting them in my yard. I'd put them on the cycle to go around at least once a week or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, at least something. Now they've established pretty well at that point a root system anyway. So it's probably not that big of a deal. But some things that are water hungry a little bit or water thirsty, I should
don't
say.
want them to dry out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
the
next
other
summer,
one exception might be if it is a container grown or container planted thing, like a Japanese maple in a container or anything else that you might have in a container. If you're having, and this is really when the temperatures are down from mid-teens and below, you need to really soak them thoroughly prior to the freezing conditions. And I know that doesn't make sense. Won't that water freeze? Yes. but the water provides insulation into the soil. So that's why you do it at that point. But other than those kind of conditions, when we're going to have a really hard freeze, it's not necessary. They'll be fine throughout the remainder of the winter. There's nothing in the forecast that's out there immediately ahead of us that would indicate anything otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of a newly planted tree, yesterday, shout out Emily Boyd from Clarksville came out and chatted with us yesterday. She's an avid listener of the show. And I had a great time talking to you yesterday. You bought a single stem, 15-gallon Natchez crepe myrtle.
Ooh, I love that one.
She went with the single stem, and I was so happy she did. She asked my opinion. I said, I prefer a crepe myrtle with a single stem to a rounded canopy. And she bought a Natchez, which is a big blooming white one that gets very large very quickly.
Yes.
And she went with that one, and she is going to plant that soon. So, Emily, thank you for coming out, and thanks for watching. I hope you're sipping your coffee.
That's a great choice for a single stem in particular, because they are by far the most winter hardy of all of those cultivars.
True tree.
And you're going to be much less likely to have any kind of freeze damage associated with it. So that's a great choice, and it will perform. It is a tree.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you'll find out quickly. It is a tree. It's not. Some crepe myrtles are indeed bushes, but Natchez are a tree, whether it has a single stem or multi-stems, they get huge.
That's a big boy to start out with on a 15-gallon.
And it had good size to it. That thing was dropping in probably close to 8 foot tall, which was nice. Yeah, she had a really good pick on that, and she wanted that. She said she wanted to create shade. She wanted another shade tree in the yard, and she wanted to grow hostas underneath it. So
that's going to be
shade
gorgeous.
Bed. So she's well on her way.
And
Thanks,
the bark
Emily.
on those in the winter. Well, all throughout the year, but especially in the winter when you can really see it, is stunning.
Yes.
Like when they get older, my parents have, I'm talking about their garden a lot
Your
today.
parents are older?
My parents are older.
okay.
Yeah, they're old. Just kidding. They're so young. But they do have Natchez crepe myrtle. And I sent a picture earlier this year to Tyler and Austin. We didn't bring it up on the show of my mom standing next to them. And they're absolutely massive.
Yeah.
But the best part is just the trunk with the bark shedding off. It's so smooth and so pretty.
Exfoliating cinnamon bark is something indeed to behold.
Yes.
Emily said she is so excited about her Natchez, she'll send photos this summer.
Thank you,
Cool.
Emily.
And
Thanks for watching.
all your help, Austin.
Oh, no problem. You were sweet. It was really, really nice chatting with you yesterday. Thanks for coming.
And shopping.
Uh-huh.
All right,
And
let's
shopping.
talk a little bit about soy.
Oh, Tyler
Been
can.
trying to get one in.
Okay.
Is it the one about mealybugs and rubbing alcohol?
Yes. Did you see that on the Bates page?
I did see it on the
Okay.
Bates page.
Y'all two are just...
Go,
Let's
Tyler.
talk
Go,
about
Tyler.
that first,
Bye.
Tyler.
Oh, fade out. Slow fade out, Tyler.
Take it away, Caroline.
All right, so let's talk about soil, and then Tyler will go over to you. How do you correct for too much phosphorus in your soil? Yes, I have been throwing fertilizer down for years without a soil test. Now that I had a test, I guess I will spend years correcting it. And then it says, get a soil test, people.
N, P, and K, right?
Yeah, NPK, yep.
Yeah.
And if you keep adding fertilizer year after year, you're going to, nitrogen a lot of times gets depleted a lot quicker than phosphorus does. So phosphorus will stick in the soil. We have a lot of phosphorus naturally in our soil typically, so you don't usually have to add all that much. So the first key is stop throwing fertilizer at it that has a middle number that has any percentage at all, okay? So it's, like Josh just said, NPK. The P is the phosphorus. No more of that middle number. We don't want to add any of that. And really the best thing I could kind of find when talking about or looking around to try to finish this or figure this out was to grow plants.
Yes.
It literally said that. Like when I was reading about it and got pretty deep off into some stuff, it's just growing more plants there and keep doing that. And then as the years go on, you will get, you'll
Maybe sow some grass seed
regulate.
there? Help.
I guess you could. That doesn't go very deep.
Right.
It's the only thing about grass. But plants that, high flowering plants, or heavy rooting plants, they really use phosphorus a lot. So using maybe, heavy flowering plants in that area might be helpful to try to get that soil back kind of regulated.
Yeah, I don't know. I've ever heard anybody having this problem previously. And I'm sure that they have, or maybe they just didn't know it. But to have the known problem of having an excessive amount of phosphate is a bit unusual.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But yes, you need to grow that phosphate out of the soil. It does not leach like nitrogen does, or gas off like nitrogen does.
And I'm wondering where we got our soil test. You know,
Probably the Ag Center.
Yeah, maybe the Ag Center.
Ellington Ag Center will test your soil, just so you know, y'all know that.
Yeah, and that there's no charge for that either.
No, not that I know of.
So I'm going to go ahead and get another one. You know, I think just to confirm the results of it.
I think you can also go through your local co-op. I'm pretty sure my father-in-law gets his garden soil tested every single year, and I'm pretty sure it's through the co-op. And they give him this, a guaranteed analysis of what his soil has in it, pH-wise, all the nutrient levels, if he's depleted in lime, all that good stuff. And really, really great to start with that before you ever start your veggie garden, or really any bed if you can. So there you go.
And also our good friends over at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. They've got like 8 locations around Middle Tennessee. They also can send those off and get that done for you.
Yeah, they usually recommend, and again, they're more of a turf place. So I mean, what Drew always told us is get dirt from about 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 different locations in your yard, mix them together, and that's what they would do. But if she's testing just a flower bed, I don't see that would be terribly unusual. If, like you said, if she's throwing chemical fertilizer in particular on there.
Yeah.
Paul Gant said something.
What did he say about me calling him old?
He said your mother's old.
Oh, she's probably slapping him off the couch right now.
Hey,
Tyler?
speaking of old, talk about me for a minute. Okay. And this little establishment that I've been blessed to be a part of the entirety of my life, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, where we are on the cusp of our 92nd year of business. And that's a pretty amazing thing. I know my grandmother pictured here. She would have had no idea that it was even possible. She did get to see the garden center be built, and she lived for a few years thereafter. And what we try to do today is carry on that legacy of Bessie Bates. She was a force of nature, and she never met a stranger. And I think that connection with plants and people is really what gardening is all about. We're often talking about meeting and speaking extensively with a customer yesterday, and it's the relationships that really make horticulture the most rewarding thing. We get to, we all enjoy this commonality of trying to grow plants and share the experience of problems and how to work through them. But when it comes down to it, it's about that one-on-one thing. And that's what we really try to give you here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, that opportunity to get information that you can rely upon and feel really good about, and know that you're going to get great results out of what you're planting. Now, we're going to really strongly advise you today. We're open from 9 until 2 today. So we're going to be opening here just in a few minutes, but we close at 2:00 today.
So tell them again, open at 9, close at 2.
If you're a Bates Rewards member and you know who you are, you come out, you're going to get 33% off of all deciduous trees.
Wow.
That does include crepe myrtles. You're also going to get 33% off bagged earth mix landscape. Wow. And that's the best premium soil conditioner to amend your soil. As we also talked about, it's a great planter mix. If you want to just directly plant into it, you can do that as well in a container. So no matter what you're thinking of, we've got it in. And Austin, I know you were very involved in the Monrovia truck that came in earlier this week. Kind of give us a couple little tidbits about what people can come out and see. Those things are not on the special part, but there's a lot of really cool and beautiful things that have just arrived.
Yeah, it did. And it's as fresh as it gets. It's not like this is old stock or something they're just trying to get rid of. No, this is the freshest of the fresh crop that's going to come in for next season. And we go ahead and get that this time of year just to have it. It's a full semi, front to back, 53 foot.
Wow.
And we hand unloaded probably 3/4 of it, and then the rest of it came off on pallets and racks that we could use a machine to get them off with. And it took us all day to do it, but we finished putting all that stuff up in one day, which is honestly incredible. We've never done it that fast before. Wow. We had space that we had already made in the Batrium, what we call it. I made space out here on the lot. So I had a crew on my end, and Ryan in the Batrium, who takes care of that, had a crew on his end. And we got all that stuff put up, and it's ready to be shopped, and it is all fully priced. It is ready to go, and it is as fresh as can be. I mean, conifers, deciduous plants, whatever, flowering
Thai
stuff.
Constellation Monsteras.
See, Caroline even got some house plants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 4 of them.
And the great thing about the Baitstrium that Austin's talking about is that it's a completely covered, connected area. So, so you can come in and shop in the relative comfort of a somewhat controlled environment. It's still outdoorsy type temperatures, but you don't have the wind. And if you have precipitation, you're not going to have to deal with that.
Right.
You can do it all inside, and it makes it a rather comfortable experience on a mild winter's day. So we invite you to come out and see us. Again, we're open from 9 until 2 today. Today is the last day of that sale. So if you're not a Bates Rewards member and you're hearing this message, come on out, sign up. It takes about 30 seconds. We don't share your information with anyone. And if you decide you don't want to get my newsletter, which I don't know why you would.
That's crazy talk, David.
But if you decide you don't want it, you can just unsubscribe. And we don't, again, it doesn't take you off the Bates Rewards side of it, but you don't, if it gets to be too much in your inbox, you can take that off. However, it does give you the first word on all the specials and everything seasonally with respect to, plant problems, plant culture, all of the things that the 92 years we've been blessed to be in business, we can provide. I try to give you a weekly little dose of that to keep you abreast of what you need to be thinking about. And that's available right here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And so you can get that at our website, batesnursery.com. So check that out. Come out and see us 9 to 2 today. We're conveniently located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike. That's just minutes from Rivergate Opry Mills, Nashville West, downtown Nashville. And it's worth the drive no matter where you're coming from. We got an incredible selection of tropicals, and Caroline will be happy to show you what we have there along with the others up front. So check out everything we have to offer. We are a year-round nursery. We do not take winters off. We take gardening very seriously here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Come see us, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, and we're open until 2 o'clock today. So we'll hope to see you.
1/3 off. 1/3, 33% off of deciduous trees.
Actually, it's not 33.333.
Well, it's close enough.
Exact.
You round
just
down,
33%,
right? Okay.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, I'm telling you, you could get a bigger.
Even at the beginning of the day.
Or the end of the day, which is at 2 o'clock. So you don't come in at 2 o'clock. Come in about 1 o'clock so you got time to shop.
Well,
you
need to,
Come on
and
out.
most of the trees are outdoors, by the way.
Yep.
So, and that's where the trees should be. There's no particular maintenance that has to be given to them, and unless we have something really severe, which there's no evidence of at this point, that's where they will remain. Some of the things are indoors, and one thing is an exception. Japanese maples are not included on the sale, but other than that, it covers all other deciduous trees. And as I mentioned, that even includes crepe myrtle. So check it out.
You can upgrade your size for the same amount of money. Right? Yeah, that's a trick that you're going to be able to do.
Nearly a third.
Yeah.
It happened just yesterday. A guest came out and he was looking for a crepe myrtle randomly, and he was looking at the 10 gallons. And I told him, "Hey man, these things are 33% off." Oh, he jumped up to that 15 gallon real quick.
He went right on
He's
up
like,
there.
You know what? I need bigger. So there you go. Get you something bigger. I might get a tree today.
I might get a willow tree today.
A willow.
Yes.
Willow.
A weeping willow.
I did have someone send me an email about pussy willows, and I know that we're only showing weeping varieties of that, but that's a great early springtime plant, and it's another one of those things that has great, if you like to cut the stems, and they're very decorative. They have a lot of uses in the landscape. So, anyway.
I've got 2 of those.
Those are cool.
I bought one, separated it into 2.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. I've got a big hill that goes down to a spring, so.
Hey, that same
Willow trees
customer
are
yesterday
happy.
actually did the same. He came out because his wife really wanted an osmanthus. She was from South
Oh,
Carolina,
I love
and
that
she
plant
loved
so much.
the smell of the blooms, which is it's got to be some of the best smelling blooms you could imagine. And this guy he called about a 7-gallon, and he got a 7-gallon, but then right next to it there was a 3-gallon sitting there. And what he noticed is there was 2 stems in that same pot, and he said, "Man, can I get 2 out of this?" I said, "You know it,
baby.
yeah, baby, $40, not just one, it'll get you 2." So I
For
told him,
2.
"Get that sawzall out, saw it right down the middle, and you got 2 trees or 2 shrubs, I should say." And that's what he did. So
That's what I did with my
Good
pussy
job.
willow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a great little tip.
It's
I know
so
Austin
good.
did a video on that about a year or 2 ago.
it's been a while now.
A while back.
Speaking of a great tip, and you gave me one because we took home a bunch of pottery from the sale, and it had a little bit of staining on it, a little patina, Ben
saw
called
that.
it. But Caroline recommended CLR. Clean those bad boys up just like nothing. It was
Oh,
ever
yeah.
gone. They were gorgeous. So
It'll take it right off. It's pretty easy. If you let it set for just a little bit, yeah, it'll clean those pots up. All right, Tyler, it's time for you to get in there. Did you?
Are
have
you
some
sure?
questions?
yes,
Wait a minute. Just kidding. Yes,
Okay.
go for it.
Well, we've a lot of questions came in on the Bates Facebook page. Thank you for watching. Are mealybugs best removed by hand and alcohol too? That was Mary's follow-up to her other pest question.
If it's not bad, I say yes. I take Q-tips to get mealybugs off, especially if they've jumped from one plant to another and you find it right before the
You
infestation
ever seen a
takes over.
mealybug jump?
I've never seen one jump. Oh, I'd be scared if I saw that. But that's how I usually start treatment for them. Mealybugs are one of my least favorite things to get
Yes.
on the plant. So
They're annoying.
they're so annoying. They're a lot harder to get rid of than aphids, and that is something that you can use a systemic for if it does get out of hand. There's a granular systemic. I can't remember off the top of my head what exactly the ingredient is that I use for houseplants when I get it. It does take some time. It can take up to a month or month and a half for it to really treat it. But once the plant absorbs it, it does work to kill everything off. So if it's bad, I suggest doing that as your last resort. Or you could go a step further and just do neem oil and wipe those leaves down. Get into the crevices, especially if it's like a fiddle leaf fig, because they can really get in there. And they are not fun to treat.
Are you talking about that little systemic houseplant?
Yeah, it's a
thing we
granular that
have?
you
Yeah,
put in the
it's-
soil and then
it's-
mix it in.
Imidacloprid
Oh, yeah, that's
is
right.
the active, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like the most stout chemical on the planet.
And I'll use acephate on houseplants when it's warm and they're outside
you
to
said
treat 'em.
acetate.
Acephate. Yeah.
Acetate. Okay.
That, to me,
do
works
not use
better.
acetate on any living plant.
No, do not do that.
Okay.
That to me works a little bit better. It seems to be stouter, works quicker. But again, I only use it when I can put my plants outside and treat it. And that is my last resort. So before I throw the plant away, if it means a lot to me, then I will go the systemic route. But I usually try to do natural treatments before I have to do that.
Acephate stinks really bad.
It's terrible.
So take it
It's
outside before
awful.
you treat that. It's commonly sold as randomly enough, as a fire ant killer. They use
Oh yeah, you were
acephate
telling me
for
that not too long ago. Yeah,
But it smells
They
horrible.
can't stand the smell, so
Yeah,
they just
that's
keep
what it
going
is.
in.
Yeah, they head back south.
they run away.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
All right. What's next?
Kim Fox asks, does Father Gilla do well in Robertson County? I have clay soil and no shade in the front yard.
Oh, yeah. Father Gilla is a nice native around here, so it's used to our soils. So Robertson County ain't no different than Cheatham or Davidson. I mean, it's
it's not.
fine out there. And my
Sun might be
recommendation,
an issue though.
and I mean, I'm okay with Father Gilla and more. We used to keep Father Gilla out on the lot, and it would be fine. Now it's a little bit water.
Right.
It's a little bit thirsty of a plant. So if it's out in the full sun,
Is that the common name? Because I'm not familiar.
that is a common.
Okay.
Well, no, witch alder
Witch
is a
alder,
common
okay.
name.
Right.
Yeah, which
Mainly grown.
Doesn't seem common at all.
Yeah, it's kind of not a lot of people know about that plant. It's really prized for its fall color. I mean, that is
gorgeous.
stunning.
It's got good blooms too.
It's got great blooms.
Yeah.
It's actually it's an underused plant. It should be used more in the landscape. It gets fairly large, but out in where'd she say Robertson County? Yeah, it'll live out there. You might have to amend your soil a little bit if it's like a super clay spot. But like I said, it's tolerant of our soils. It's a native around here, so stick it out there. Like I said, in the full sun, you might have to water it a little bit more to get it kind of going, but it should do just fine.
Very cool.
I've got mine planted next to my air conditioning unit.
Oh, yeah.
Which
that little drip.
it stays moist from that, and then it's afternoon shaded, and it's doing really well.
Mine's in the exact same spot as yours, and it's living its best
Wow,
life.
20.
Yeah. Was there one more question
Yes,
on there?
Jane Gibbs. Thanks for watching. Advisable to protect recently planted blueberry bushes with some frost cloth when temps dip below 32.
No, don't do it.
No,
Your blueberry's fine. It loves 32.
they're all colored up right
It even
now.
loves
We live in
Great.
Maine, for
Yeah.
pity's sake.
Blueberries
They
are
can
great.
handle a
Yes.
lot.
They are very cold hardy. So
Yes.
I had one in a
You know-
pot on my driveway, and it did just fine in the December freeze. Didn't take a hit
yeah.
at all. So that shows how hardy they are. Hey,
Yeah.
Tyler, you know what we haven't done yet?
it's getting late too.
You
Yeah, it
mean
is.
I'm just kidding. What's in room with Caroline?
All right. So Austin actually did this setup. Maybe Austin and Tyler yesterday. So I'm going to hand it over to him or them.
What?
What?
I wasn't prepared for this.
You
I
were
just-
prepared for it. I mean,
I'm
I can.
prepared.
Yeah, you know what you brought in.
I did. I didn't have Caroline to help me yesterday. She typically designs this studio every week. I mean, I help her a little, but let's be honest. She main
Well,
designer
what's right in
over here.
between you guys?
In between, it says a cactus I brought in. It's actually technically a juniper.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I brought in a lot of topiaries today, but we had this cactus, and I put it beside Caroline because she wasn't here yesterday to make her feel happy because
Thank
she
you.
loves the old cactus.
I do. And if
And
you
you
want a
can't see the
cactus
top.
outside through the winter,
Saguaro.
there you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it.
Extremely cool.
Uh-huh. Very cool.
Imposter
And-
cactus.
Yes.
You can put some sunglasses on it and
I
put
know.
some muscles. It could be
Yep.
Hulk Hogan.
That'd be great. Yeah. Out in front here, we have some blue chip juniper, and I brought these in because my buddy out here, Ben, who's
It's
a great
just-
horticulturalist, calls them the other day. He called the color purple. And I thought, what a great word. Ben is one of the goofiest guys I know, but he's an awesome guy, really good horticulturalist, and he called the color purple on these junipers. And I think that's very fitting because they're almost this bluish purple color.
It's blurple season, baby.
It's blurple season. That's what he told me. Out in front, we got some Frankie Boy arborvitae that's lit up with this yellowy, orangey, hairy looking thing. It's a thing. I mean, honestly, look at it. It looks like a
Bang.
thing. So that's cool. Blue Point juniper here on the edges. That's a new arrival from Monrovia. Y'all can see how good they look. And
They look so good and healthy.
Oh, they're great.
They're perfect.
We left in our Christmas lights from last week, so we got some blue atlas cedar here on the edges and still has the lights on them. I brought in some little golden hemlocks that are down around the topiaries, and then I brought in the topiaries.
There they are.
There's that. What is it? Golden Charm, Golden Duchess,
I think Golden Duchess.
Golden Duchess.
Gorgeous.
That's a cool
Golden
plant.
Duchess.
Very
And
cold hardy.
They like shade a little bit, don't they?
They can handle
so
it.
if you want an evergreen
For the shade, they can
for
handle
the
it.
shade.
And
you
then
got
I
the-
brought in the topiaries, so I thought, okay, so like on New Year's Day, you have to, wake up and embrace the sun that's over there on the right. And then you've got to wait until the nighttime comes around with the moon, and you see the moon. And then you must wait till late, until midnight to see the stars. But then you will, and then it's sleepy time.
And then it's sleepy time. That was a great sleepy time story right there.
There you go.
Wow. I love
what's in
it.
room.
And then there's
cat-
that flower.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the flowers. I pop those in on the edges because, we love flowers. You know I do.
Yes, we know you do.
Loud flowers.
Loud flowers.
My
That's a great
favorite.
one. We also have a cat. We had sharks, but I think they sold.
Nope, we have
Wow.
a cat and a shark. I just
We
didn't
still
have
have
room for
them.
them. They're here.
Yeah, you didn't put the animals in today. Maybe next week we'll bring those guys in.
I couldn't fit them.
Label
They didn't
says,
fit
does
right.
it say Bountiful Farms Sculptured Collection? That's
Yeah, that's
cool.
where they came from.
Yeah,
We-
Bountiful Farms. Very cool.
They do a whole thing. Like I've looked at their webs or when Julie was ordering this stuff and kind of looking at some. It's incredible what they topiary and what they can make. I mean, just this tag I've got right here.
Right.
Look, that's a plant, y'all.
Wow.
That's a person on a horse. And it's like bigger than
As a
me.
plant.
It's planted in the ground.
It looks huge.
Do
That's
they-
incredible.
Hey, si-
Do they ship
Since
that?
you've mentioned Julie's name, we need to give Julie Patterson a big shout out because
Definitely.
she is the goddess of everything green that goes on at Bates Nursery. She procures and brings it in from everywhere. And I'm, from the deep south to the far west to the northeast and to right here in Middle Tennessee. There is no source that escapes Julie. She
Knows all, sees
is a
all.
one of a kind. We're so fortunate to have her
Right.
on our staff, and she is the reason that we have this selection of plant material that you will not find, and I can almost guarantee you that you won't find a selection of plant material like we've got here anywhere else. So thank you, Julie.
And she's incredible. She's been doing this for like 26 years, and she still gets excited whenever she sees like a new plant arrival or something to show me. Like, hey, Austin, come here and look at these. Think I should buy some? And I'm like, oh yeah, definitely get that. It's cool, get it. And it's just funny. She's still passionate about her job and great at what she does.
She can remember everything. It's wild.
I love Julie. Old Mama Bear is what I call her.
Yeah, she is
She's
fantastic.
our mama. Yep. Oh, the music. Tyler.
What?
We're not ready to be done.
We were counting down.
Too bad.
Oh my goodness!
You better get
gracious.
what you need to say out.
Yeah,
I've got enough out.
Well, we do need to say Happy New Year to everyone. We really want to thank you for taking a little bit of your day and sharing that with us. And we really invite you in as we roll into 2024. And
Be
we're going to
safe.
help you along the gardening path right here on Gardening Inside Out. And of course, Josh, we've been
David.
doing this together for a while.
So
I think we're just going to keep it
don't
rolling
do
forward
out
and see what
crazy
happens.
stuff. Go out there so you can join us next Saturday morning. I mean, go home, grow oyster mushrooms out of the box.
Yeah.
Don't go out and go crazy. So you can be with us. Thank you, David Bates. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to Caroline. Happy New Year to Austin and
Happy New
Tyler.
Year.
Happy New Year to all the viewers. And we thank you for being with us. We'll see you next Saturday morning right here from Bates Nursery and Garden Center for Gardening Inside Out.